The sound of jagged metal scraping across polished mahogany was the only thing heard in the boardroom. It was a theatrical slide designed to humiliate. The heavy brass ring spun to a stop exactly 3 inches from my water glass. "You won't need these anymore," Marcus said, leaning back in father's old leather chair. The leather creaked under his weight, a sound that used to command respect, but now just sounded like strain. "Corporate housing is for active employees, David, and as of this morning's vote, you're redundant." My sister, Sarah, stared intently at her manicured nails. My mother, seated at the far end of the table, looked out the window at the sprawling estate grounds, refusing to meet my gaze. They had rehearsed this, the united front, the silent expulsion. I didn't reach for the keys, I didn't flinch, I just looked at the agenda printed on the heavy cream cardstock in front of me. Item 4, * personnel restructuring *, Item 5, * asset recovery *. "Did you hear me?" Marcus asked, his voice dropping an octave, trying to mimic the baritone her father had used to close multi-million-dollar deals. "Pack your things, security will escort you out at noon." "The car stays." I took a slow sip of water, the condensation on the glass was cold against my fingertips. Inside, a fire was raging, the betrayal burned hot and bright. But I forced my face into a mask of absolute boredom. This was Act 2, the silence. They expected me to beg. They expected me to yell about the 10 years I spent fixing the supply chain while Marcus partied in Ibiza. They wanted a tantrum to justify their cruelty. I gave them nothing. "I hear you, Marcus," I said softly. "But we haven't finished the meeting." "Yet the meeting is over," Sarah snapped, finally looking up. "Stop dragging this out, it's embarrassing." "Item 6, I said, tapping the paper. "Administrative transition." Marcus laughed. It was a sharp, barking sound. "That's just legal speak for removing your name from the bank accounts, David. God, you're pathetic. Just take the keys and go." I opened the leather portfolio I had brought with me. It wasn't the thin folder of a man being fired, it was the thick binder of a man who prepares. "Actually," I said, sliding a single document across the table toward him, mirroring his earlier gesture with the keys. "Item 6 refers to the activation of the dormant clause in the family trust. The one Dad added 3 years ago when you crashed the Ferrari into the vineyard wall." Marcus frowned. He didn't pick up the paper. He just squinted at it. "What are you talking about?" "Dad was senile." "Dad was disappointed," I corrected. "He knew you were charismatic, Marcus. He knew you could charm a boardroom. But he also knew you couldn't read a balance sheet to save your life. And he knew Sarah would vote whichever way the wind blew." I turned the page in my binder. "Clause 4A states that in the event of a hostile internal restructuring, which you just initiated by firing a family member without cause of voting, shares revert from a simple majority to a merit-based allocation." The room went dead silent. The air conditioning hummed, sounding like a jet engine in the quiet. "That's not real," Sarah whispered. "It is," I said. "And since I hold the power of attorney for the trust's operational oversight, something you signed off on last Christmas, because you didn't want to read the 40-page annual report, my vote is now weighted at 60%. Marcus finally grabbed the paper. His eyes darted back and forth, scanning the legalese. His face went from flushed to pale in seconds. The arrogance drained out of him, leaving just a scared boy in a chair that was too big for him. "You can't do this," he stammered. "We voted, Mom voted. Mom voted because you told her the company was going under if I stayed," I said, finally looking at my mother. She turned from the window, her eyes wide, realizing she had been played. "But the company is posting record profits, or it was until you tried this coup." I stood up, the chair didn't creak. I buttoned my jacket. "So, here's how Item 6 concludes," I said, my voice filling the room, steady and cold. "The restructuring is approved. But it's not me leaving." I pulled my phone out and sent a single text, *execute. "I've already contacted legal," I continued. "Your access to the corporate accounts has been suspended pending an audit of your expenses in Europe last quarter. Sarah, your position on the board is converted to a non-voting advisory role effective immediately." Marcus stood up, his hands shaking. "You can't kick me out of my own building." "It's not your building, Marcus. It's the trust, and right now, I am the trust." I looked down at the keys he had slid over to me. The BMW keys, the house keys, the symbols of the life he thought he could strip away from me. I didn't take them. I walked to the door, pausing with my hand on the brass handle. I looked back at the 3 of them, frozen, ruined, and realizing that their victory lap had just turned into a funeral procession. "You keep those keys, Marcus," I said, offering a small, tight smile. "You'll need the car to move your boxes. Security will be here in 5 minutes. Don't make a scene." I walked out, closing the heavy door gently behind me, leaving the silence to do the rest of the work.